Wizards, welcome back as always. See all this cool lighting? I figured out all this by myself. Now, I have a pretty bold title for today, but I have to say that the PVS-14 night vision unit was probably like the best starting place if you were getting into night vision for a really, really long time. But I have to say, after using this new unit we're looking at today, that's not really the case anymore. This new unit is just lighter, cheaper, and with even more functionality. So when you ask about, what's the best place to get started in night vision, there's just a much better and more obvious option now. Plus, I'm fairly certain you can use discount code TLDco over on the Nocturn website to save even more, but I'll be honest, I have to go test that. That new night vision that has already earned itself a seat with the Kings is the just released Nocturn Talon night vision housing. Yeah, I know, we're doing more night vision, so YouTube's just gonna be even more mad at our channel. Now, this Talon housing is the one that I've been showing you all year and kind of teasing you with, and it's the one we had a first look at SHOT Show earlier in the year. And the unit I have is a pre-production model that Nocturn was nice enough to lend me to show off to all of you, while they place on some final polish and some of those internal LED indicators for the production versions. I just say that so you can be aware that in some of my footage, the production version is gonna have a little bit more polish than the one that I have. Now though, let's answer an important question. Basically, what is the Talon? And I know I'm excited, but why should you care? The Nocturn Talon takes direct aim at the PVS-14 to make a better night vision monocular in every aspect, from weight to function to price. I think it helps to see how we got here though, and I originally fell in love with the original Nocturn Tanto. This was a simple night vision device where Nocturn focused on weight and cost savings above all else. And it could be connected together in the Daisho bridge to build a full dual nod system. But the Tanto didn't have onboard IR or manual gain, so the Tanto wasn't exactly one-to-one with the PVS-14. The Talon then takes things up a level from the Tanto by adding in IR illumination, adding in manual gain, and auto on and off like stowage, and when you put it to the side, you can turn that on and off too, all while being cheaper and lighter than the PVS-14. It's a little bit crazy. We're gonna go over all of it, but first, sponsor love. Today's video is sponsored by HRT Tactical Gear. HRT provides industry-leading team-based products such as the Recon Placard to give adaptability and expansion for any mission set, along with the newly released ARC 2.0 Battle Belt with upgraded features to give you one of the most rigid and lightweight systems on the market. I love how the ARC 2.0 belt, like I keep mentioning this, it has all these improvements and increased functionality, but then actually costs less than the original version. It's such a cool head nod to the community from HRT, and I do love them for that. So if you want to pick up one of those belts or anything else from HRT, you can use discount code TLDco over on the HRT website. Big thanks as always to HRT for all the love and support that they give us. Now though, we definitely have to talk on this one. We got to talk about my biases. This is important because Nocturn is a sponsor of the channel, and I think the whole Nocturn team is just great. Hi, Steven. Nocturn just makes so much happen at the channel, from supporting us in gear, supporting us in ammo, and all the other things that we're trying to accomplish. So that comes with a huge amount of bias from me. So while I'm excited to show off this Tanto to you, I do recommend you watch some upcoming content that I'm sure they'll have from Cold Harbor Media and hopefully Form Our Ranch to get their take on this guy too. That way, when you're making some purchasing decisions, you're not just listening to one single voice, but it's thanks to our Patreon supporters that we can say and do whatever we want, but don't take anything I say or any other YouTuber says as gospel. If somebody's out there telling you the top 10 guns to buy in 2025, somebody paid for those. It was probably one of you guys, and that should make you ask some hard questions. Do your own research so you could be the most educated consumer possible. All right, then let's just get started. Here's the all-new Nocturn Talon. And looking at it, it really gives the initial appearance to me of a Tanto that's just been upgraded, but kept the same form factor and feature set that made that unit so popular. I really want to just go over the Talon features, but night vision can be so confusing, and some people can be new and different skill levels when it comes to night vision. I know there's going to be some question down below like, what tubes come with the Talon? And that's just such a confusing question. So let's go over it so we're all on the same page. Just break it down quick, I promise. Most of your night vision units have three main pieces. The first, the optics, which is the glass at the front and the rear. I have mil-spec Carson glass on both the Talon and my PVS-14, but you can also use the RPOs on like my Manicore R that I have here to cut weight, but I do feel the mil-spec glass is a bit better image. Apparently there's new RPO 4.0s though, so you can still keep that lower weight. I haven't tested those though to see if they give you a bit of a better image from the 3.0s, so maybe, I don't know, maybe that's something we can test later. We'll see. I will also say that I need like a 4K recorder on my night vision device and blow it up on a huge 4K screen in order for me to be able to see the difference. So I want you to be able to take the idea that the image difference, like take that whole thing with a grain of salt, because it really only matters if you're recording through your night vision unit. Like if you're primarily using it for that, use the mil-spec glass, but if you're just using it running around, you will like the weight savings from the RPOs. Now, the optics are connected into the number 2 piece, the housing, and that's what we'll be going over today with the Talon. Then inside the housing, this is important, is number 3, the intensifier. And this is the part that actually gives you night vision by intensifying, I know that's crazy, the light to make it more visible. Look at me, I didn't even get intensifier and illuminator messed up like a dumbass this time. But intensifier tubes can vary a ton in price. So even the same brand and same classification can be wildly different. Like if you get L3 unfilmed, you can still see a huge variation in price just based on the quality. So I want you to be aware of that. That intensifier is really gonna throw a wild card into the price of things. My brain wanted to say illuminator so bad. So if you're shopping, an assembled unit's price has a set housing cost, but the lighter weight optics can cost a bit more, and some intensifiers can cost more or less. I say that to help you because knowing if you're getting a deal on night vision, like Nocturn's really good about the units they put out being like a super solid package for the price, but sometimes it's hard to look at it and know like, hey, am I actually getting a deal? So if you don't know, you can send me a message on Instagram or you can hit us up on Discord. All the guys there are super helpful. Just ask somebody. Don't just buy something and hope. But now that we're on the same page, let's get started. As shown, the Talon housing uses standard mil-spec optics, which I said, and it also means you can connect in the cool first-person recorders from Brown Bear, along with the front iris like the Amazon setup I have here on my PVS-14 and the Nod Pod setup on my Manicore. These just swap right over to the front. Now, the Talon housing itself is injection molded polymer, and I was actually surprised by this. I do have a bit of a funny story here. So I'm playing with it and, I'm doing all my testing and I'm checking it out, and I give them a call and I'm like, hey, the pre-production version is in aluminum, but is the production version gonna be, as I understand, that's gonna be in injection molded polymer. And they were like, Walsh, the one you have is injection molded polymer. So it's kind of funny that, the difference between aluminum and the polymer is so small that I didn't even tell the difference. And that makes sense as the molded polymer has the same strength of 6061 aluminum while also being lighter and cheaper, bringing you kind of that best of both worlds. Plus, we got to see that molded katana a few videos ago that was absolutely abused, and I actually thought they sent me the wrong one because it looked untouched. Now back on the Tanto, we also see the same J-arm attachment, and here we have the Max 14 arm from Noise Fighters. Moving to the side, we see some of the biggest changes with this side module. Starting first with the battery, we have our secured cap, and here you can use CR123 or AA batteries for about 50 hours of runtime. Now you can also use CR2 batteries, like Nocturne sells a bunch of different caps you can switch out to use different styles of batteries. That CR2 battery though gives you about 24 hours of runtime, so yes, you could do that, but you would be the weird kid. Nobody will make fun of you, it's totally fine. Now, along the front of the Talon is the added IR illuminator. I like how this sticks out of the unit so you can get a better overall flood compared to the garbage PVS-14 one, and it's also offset further to the side, so an added front iris doesn't occlude the onboard illuminator. All right, now the next part I'm gonna get into is this actual control knob, and this is how everything is operated on here. It's very, very cool. So let's just go into the functionality side of things for the video. Now, like I said, unlike a PVS-14, you only have one set of controls here with this simplified single knob. To turn it on, you press it in and the unit will turn on or off. When on though, the knob functions to give you manual gain control, so you can make the image brighter or darker in just a moment. Now, manual gain for me has always been something that it's a nicety to have, but I never battled to have it. Maybe it helped in a camera, if I'm setting up and recording for you guys, I can control the exposure. So that's the only time I really liked it. But our friends over at Jawless Hog explained to us how law enforcement officers, it's a lot more important that they keep their night vision, dim the manual gain down so everything kind of matches. They don't lose their night vision, just in case they need to go hands-on with someone or cuff somebody. They can be able to use their peripheral vision and use their hands. So that may be important to you, and another key piece on why having manual gain on a simple night vision unit can be really important. Much like the Manticore series, also, the Talon also remembers your manual gain setting. So from power off to on, it'll be at the same brightness gain that you left it at. That manual gain memory was one of my most unexpected favorite features. I didn't think I would need or want that at all on the Manticore R, because you could just turn it off and you turn it back on and it's back where you left it at. Whereas the PVS-14, that thing almost always gets bumped with the control being at the front. So you turn it back on and it's just gonna be at wherever it's gonna be at. So having that on the Talon, the memory, is fantastic to see. I'll just say it's one of those quality of life features that I've been spoiled with, and now that I have it, I don't really want to go back. Now back on the Talon, let's play with illumination. If you then double press the button, it'll turn on your IR illuminator to give you that added flood of light. When in the illuminator mode also, the knob changes functions to control the brightness of the illuminator to give you added control over the illumination that you're spilling out into the environment. At any time, you can press the dial inward to turn the IR illuminator off also. I do want to say that I got tripped up by this a little bit, that when you're indoors, the auto gating can come into play. Why that's important is if you're in a tight enclosed room and you're messing with the illuminator like you're trying to dim it down, it'll seem like the illumination control isn't working, because due to the auto gating, you're still, even at the lowest setting, you're still at the max brightness of the unit because everything's reflecting around inside. So yeah, once I understood that, I felt kind of dumb, when I realized how auto gating was coming into play. So hopefully that helps some of you if you're testing it out. You need a more open environment and you need less light for you to be able to see how that illumination control is coming into play. Now, as one last feature, you can double press and hold to turn on strobe mode. This gives you a way to signal members of your team or just provide them with a visual indicator of your position. I think strobe mode is a cool thing to add, like a little bit of added functionality, but you definitely would need to be in a uncontested night vision environment if you're gonna use that, or everybody else is gonna know where you are too. So lots of features here, particularly compared to, kind of the junk that you get with the standard PVS-14. But there is one more cool one that I've slowly learned to love. If you hold in the knob and turn it to the left, we turn off auto shut off. And if we hold it in and turn to the right, we turn it on. When on, the Talon goes into standby when the monocular is stowed over to the side, letting you use a task light to work on closer admin tasks or retrieve objects or whatever. Then when you bring your night vision back into view, it turns back on automatically. I like this because I can just tilt the whole unit to the side, use my optic if I'm looking through something, or retrieve something from my gear, and then pull it back down and the whole thing turns back on. Now, when you go to stow the actual night vision, it has a different functionality that comes into play, and I thought this was pretty cool. When stowed, the Talon goes into standby mode again, but when the Talon is then deployed back down and set back into position, you have to press the dial button once to turn it back on. Now, I'll be honest that I'm kind of 50-50 on the auto on and off when stowed and such, because I was kind of taught to be cautious whenever you use always and never. But the more and more I got used to it and using it, I kind of grew to like it because I got used to having that feature in more fancier units like the Manticore R. So using it again here kind of reminded me of a higher end product. The cool part is, if you hate it, or if I'm out in the field and I'm like, this is driving me crazy, you can just turn it off. So it's really up to user preference if you want to have it on or off. which I think in the grand scheme of things is the best part of the whole thing. Now though, that's the whole Talon and all of its functions, but let's compare it against the PVS-14, like do some more direct comparisons. And the first one let's do is form factor and weight, because I think this is the most obvious one and the biggest one of all of them. Looking at the Talon on the left and the PVS-14 on the right, you can see how the years of modernization have given the Talon a huge upper hand with the far slicker package, but still the same optics, illuminators, and functionality. Well, the Talon has more functionality, but you get the idea. Looking at weight, we get our first true wow moment. With mil-spec optics and batteries in both, the PVS-14 weighs 12.4 ounces and roughly 353 grams, and the Talon comes in at 10.4 ounces or 294 grams. So right off the bat, you're looking at a difference of about 60 grams. And that may not seem like a lot, but when you have all this crap strapped to your head, the weight savings definitely help you out a lot. Plus, if you were to ever connect in two Talons together to form that Raptor setup, you'd be saving almost, 120 grams, which is like 4 ounces. That's excessive compared to the dual PVS-14 setup. That is a lot of weight. To give a comparison of a full-size setup, my lightweight Manicore R is about 500 grams, so the PVS-14 weight is a bit ridiculous with current offerings on the market. And the best part is, we mentioned you could make the Talon or put two of them together into the Raptor setup, make them all even lighter with the RPO setups. So you could be having more functionality and less weight and less cost and do something pretty nuts. So form factor and weight, comparing the PVS-14 and the Talon easily wins that one. But let's take a look at functionality and see how they work, like using them out at night, which one's easier to use and nicer to have. Here, the PVS-14 has tried and true controls, but they're super clunky. You click turn to turn the unit on, then you can control the manual gain on the front with the dial. That's a huge pain to actually find in the dark, and if this gets bumped at all, well, forget your settings. You then pull to engage the illuminator, and it sucks, and no one would ever use this. The Talon, from a functionality standpoint, is far nicer as it has one control. Long press for on, then the knob functions as gain control, also saving my settings between on and off cycles. Then I can tap twice to turn on the illuminator, and the dial then controls the illuminator brightness. And this is far, far more usable, not only in the flood it gives you, but also in the adjustment control. Then I can also use the same controls to turn the IR into a strobe for visual team indicators or a rescue beacon. I'm not gonna lie, when you use them, the Talon is just a whole ton nicer, and it also has the auto off function that the PVS-14 doesn't have if you wanted to use that. Just from a functionality standpoint, you're getting more with the Talon. From a weight standpoint, you're saving even more weight with the Talon. And from a cost standpoint, you're paying even less. The whole thing is kind of baffling. So the comparison to the legacy PVS-14 seemed like an obvious one to me, with the Talon being the far, far better choice in literally every category. I really do think the Talon is just a far, far better place to get started in night vision. But after getting to play with it, getting some time with it, getting to use it, what are my final thoughts and rankings? I felt like the Nocturn Talon took things up a notch to give us that new generation of night vision binoculars. Using the Talon, the shining spot for me was definitely the lower weight, but I also got instantly hooked on just the plain better controls to have one place to do everything. I did wish the illumination control had more space between the dimmest and the brightest setting, but having so many individual steps for the manual gain was a huge pro. I also really started to fall in love with the auto on and off, a feature I didn't really think I'd even want to ever have on. For that reason and all the great stuff here, I placed the Nocturn Talon in S tier. With the coveted TLD, sorry we killed the PVS-14 trophy. And yeah, I'm insanely biased, at least I'm fully aware of that, But the Nocturn Talon takes everything that made the PVS-14 great, made it cheaper, lighter, and easier to use. So while it is a bit of a wild claim, I will say now that the Nocturn Talon exists and I've had a chance to use it and compare it against the PVS-14, I really don't know why you would buy a PVS-14 at this point. Plus, I'm betting the Talon will have the same cool dice show style bridge where the battery cap can be removed and two Talons can be connected together in the field. Nocturn is just kind of known for that cool modular style where everything is connected together, and they do it in such a better way than like the janky setups that you see where someone tries to connect in two PVS-14 setups. I'm sorry, brass facts, I don't care what you say. That is horrible. But I'm also curious what you guys all think, so sound off in the comments. Do you think the Nocturn Talon is the new greatest starting point in night vision? Or is there some feature that you're looking to see added in or something you want to have put on there or some feature that really would make it worth your time and effort? I want to hear about that too. I know there's some guys who seem to be just waiting for digital night vision to not be total and complete ass. And I'll just say, set your clocks to like 2035 roughly, and we'll have this conversation again and see if it's any better by that point. Now, stay tuned though, as the Chimera isn't too far away either, and I'm super excited about that. That's gonna make for a crazy video, and I have to sort out fairly quickly how you record through quad night vision. I don't know, I'll figure that out. I'm sure it's super expensive. But I hope this video on the Nocturn Talon was useful in your purchasing decisions. I wanna say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters and our YouTube members. You make it possible we can test this stuff, see it before anybody else, and come tell you if it's worth your money. And I wanna say thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below what your favorite feature about this Talon is, if you're gonna grab one. If you do, remember, discount code TLDco. All right, take care everybody, watch out. Did you guys see this? I'm like a real YouTuber now. Like that's like how you know, like, do you have LEDs? Yeah, wow. You're a real YouTuber now. Like my little high school corner, like, go into the corner and record your video. All right, my guy got it. It's wonderful outside. The Talon is, God, it's smoking good. I can't wait to see some cooler stuff. All right, though, take care, everybody. I'm getting out of here.